Daniel, you actually got a positive story somewhat. Tell the people what's going on because you're seeing there's a leader that's doing the right thing.
Okay, well, sort of part of the story. This story is more of a, how would I put it? Person running for office gets into office, tries to do the right thing for the people that she serves, and gets arrested by the police. This is the feel-good story kids talking about. So, let me just read the title for you guys. Kentucky's only black female legislature arrested on felony rioting charge at Breonna Taylor protest. The only black female representative in Kentucky, Capital State Rep. Atisa Scott took action after the death of Breonna Taylor, who was fatally shot by police raiding her home. In August, Scott proposed Breonna's Law, a bill that would end no-knock warrants statewide. And when a grand jury decided not to indict the officers in Taylor's death, she joined hundreds of protesters in the street of Louisville. Sounds like someone that we're looking for that's standing with the people. So what happens? On Thursday night, Louisville police arrested Scott along with a handful of other protesters near First Unitarian Church and the Louisville Free Public Library, which had allegedly been set on fire. Now, the fact, this is a Washington Post article, the fact that allegedly set on fire, the way that I read that is the police said they were trying to stop fires, but no fires could be found. Does that sound reasonable? Is that a reasonable interpretation? Okay.
Who knows?
So let's keep going.
We'll let you decide.
Yeah, we'll let you decide. Let us know in the chat. According to the police report, according to the police report, there we go. The state representative received a felony charge of first-degree rioting and 2 misdemeanors for failure to disperse and unlawful assembly. And she was released on jail on Friday. I really do feel that whenever police arrest someone in power, they always just go, crap, didn't mean to do that. That's not our job. She's supposed to be poor. Anyway. The police arrested 24 other people that night, and then another 127 on Wednesday night. So it sort of goes on, but basically, police arrest the woman who is trying to put forward a law to curb their power for Breonna, and police charge her with rioting for fires that even the Washington Post is like, we don't know.
So here's the thing. Number one, at least, because I always ask on the show, hey, where are our political leaders at? How come they're not marching with the people? There's something wrong here. Here we have an example of a legislative leader, of course at the state level, stepping up and taking the initiative, leading the way and showing her constituents that she cares, unlike Nancy and the other corporate Democrats. But what happens when you stand up against the establishment system? You're deemed an enemy, and then you're arrested. And our police just arrested a politician for actually stepping up and being with her constituents, with her voters, with her people. What crime did she commit? There was no crime. Here's another thing, too, we have to address. The establishment wants to constantly portray the protesters as being violent or unorganized. But, thanks to social media, we're seeing another side. We're seeing the actions of police brutality. We're seeing the actions of police corruption. And seeing this legislative leader get arrested, it should show people that this movement's not dying and that there are people who do care. But we as citizens have to keep on laying the groundwork down and also holding our leaders accountable. We will remember who was marching with us, who was standing with us when others were sitting down and being silent. Jose, we'll give the final word to you.
I mean, it's a bit of a terror tactics on the cops targeting her. If she's charged with a felony and found guilty, she'd have to step down from her seat of power. That's quite a dynamic that I'm sure the police state would like to normalize. It's nice that she has allies, which call a shout out to Louisville DSA and my comrades in there. Shout out to Charles Booker, who was there to bail her out in the morning and is in solidarity with her. And shout out to her for marching with the public. And just a few pet peeves. The Democrats are extremely racist. The way that the Democrats run major cities is extremely racist. The Republican Party has tried to leverage this as somehow their rural jurisdictions and cities and townships are less racist. No, they're racist as all hell. And there's a lot of institutional terror that goes into it. This is part of it. The Attorney General, of Louisville that, gave the decree about like the justice being served with Breonna's case, was African American himself. And people take that as like, oh, you see the system works, but we'll go and accuse Kim Fox of being bought and in Michael Madigan's pocket. This is just gang warfare at the end of the day. And but which are the politicians that are standing up for their people? Which are the politicians that are showing courage for this moment of time in history that the public so desperately needs from somebody? It's people fighting in the Black Lives Matters movement. It's people that's fighting to abolish ICE. It's people that's putting their entire careers on the line for Medicare for all and universal health care. These aren't people of privilege. This is not a privileged position to say when these people say the Democratic Party not only let us down, they are actively working to lead to our criminalization and ostracizing from society. For that reason, I don't mean to make this a big turnaround, but there are people in Louisville that were in that church that were being, that was cuddled by the cops until they were all arrested, that emphatically on Twitter, on social media, say they will be voting third party. And I think we should be respectful of that choice, because any engagement with this extremely corrupt and farce process is more accountability than our actually elected leaders are. Say for this case, I think it does show that, and sometimes the Democratic Party or its elected leaders have shown to get in the forefront of fighting the very establishment that they're ingrained in. This is not always the case. And I want to also shout out to Kasana Sawant, who has done more to hold Jeff Bezos accountable than the entirety of the Democratic Party nationwide. She belongs to the Socialist Alternative Party, and Jeff Bezos is targeting her to get a recount in Seattle so that she does not assume her reelection reassume her seat. Much in the same way that the oligarchy is targeting her for her dissent, this elected official in Kentucky now has a lot to weigh out, and the state has a lot of leverage to the degree that they inflict terror on her decisions on how she's going to advocate for her community. So for anyone in these situations, regardless of their party, we should definitely be rallying around them and letting them our full support. So thank you to her for fighting Breonna's law, for fighting as best as she can within the system. And now that we see the true limits of the system, we see the face of it, which has always been an extremely racist, patriarchal oligarchy that just wants order and control. And they call that law and order. We know it's mostly just terror for most of us.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Jose, and thank you for bringing it up. And again, I have to say this: I'm very glad we had the chance to interview Kasama Sawant, because again, she's out there fighting, her own battles out there in Washington State, and the very fact that you got somebody like Jeff Bezos, spending millions of dollars, into a city councilwoman seat. I mean, that's not even a state legislative seat. That is a city council seat. That goes to show you just how afraid the establishment is of people who actually step up and do the right thing when they are voted into office.
And let's also be clear with Kashama. Anyone that tells you ever that representatives can't do anything, it's too dangerous, they don't have the power, they don't have the whatever it is, tell that to Kashama Sawant, who basically on her own, with fighting against the Democratic Party that controls Seattle, has accomplished quite a bit. She has put herself on the line. She has treated her position as that of a representative. So when someone says that they can't do it within the party structure, what they really mean is they're not going to, and they're just using flowery language, and you should tell them to go walk by a volcano.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna let me forget that I said that.
I genuinely love the quote.
Yeah,
because you can use it.
Walk by a
you
volcano.
can use it as an insult, and no one can attack you on it.
What?
It's like, what do you get?
buddy?
Oh, yeah, what do
Hey,
you say? You don't like volcanoes?
Why don't you walk by a volcano, buddy? Okay.
It's like, how do you respond to that?
Like
It's
what?